From courtside the virtual hardwood, it's the NLSC Podcast, a weekly show for basketball gamers and hardcore hoopheads. This is episode 589. I'm Andrew in our forum, Andrew NLSC on X and Blue Sky. I'm joined as always by my co-host Derek, DP3 in the forum, and DP3G and DP384 on X. Derek, we have a roadmap for the NBA 2K26 preview season. Details are coming next week, but we have other 2K news to discuss this week, so as always, please tip us off.
Yeah, so our main topics today include discussion centered around a contract extension between Take-Two and the NBA. And I believe that this announcement originally came straight from the NBA themselves. We will also be discussing an insulting offer that Take-Two made to the CLC as it relates to college basketball content and why the CLC recommended EA's proposal. I also centered a community question around Take-Two's creation of a college basketball game in the future. And when I say creation of a college basketball game, I mean if they were to create a standalone game. And, basically stating, would you like Take-Two to make this game before EA? So instead of coming out in 2028, 2029, they maybe come out in 2026 or 2027. And how would you feel about them using the existing NBA 2K engine? But first, Andrew, let's get to that contract extension. So NBA.com news from June 13th of this year, NBA, NBAPA, and 2K agreed to extend multi-year partnership. In addition, 2K has also agreed to extend its long-standing relationships with the NBA G League and USA Basketball. So, no surprise there,
no.
Right? There is a little bit of a twist in this, and I'm going to get to it in a moment. It states the National Basketball Association, National Basketball Players Association, and 2K, a wholly owned label of Take-Two Interactive Software, Inc., and publisher of the leading global basketball video game NBA 2K series, today announced they have agreed in principle to terms for a new multi-year global partnership expansion. In addition, 2K has also agreed in principle to terms to extend its long-standing relationships with the NBA G League and USA Basketball. These agreements will enable 2K to continue creating the most realistic, authentic, and engaging NBA video game experiences. And so this is the twist. Now, there's nothing in here about an exclusive license, and I want to let Cedric Veazey know, one of our longtime listeners. I would like to let him know that this doesn't appear to be an exclusive contract or extension or whatever you want to call it. There's an article posted by Mundo Gamer on this announcement, and they use the wording exclusivity. They stated maintaining the series exclusivity as the only basketball simulator on the market. There's no announcement that Take-Two has an exclusive license with the NBA. What Mundo Gamer was saying in that article was that they're the only NBA basketball 5-on-5 simulator on the market. That's what they were saying. So I wouldn't worry about that. I think that this is once again a non-exclusive contract with the NBA. But this is the twist, and I'm going to throw it over to you to get your thoughts on this. They state, as part of the ongoing partnership, the NBA and Take-Two Interactive are also launching NBA Take-Two Media, a modern entertainment company that will bring fans and players together through competitive gaming, social-first content, original programming, and live events. Created to celebrate basketball's unique role in culture, NBA Take-Two Media will produce stories and experiences across gaming, travel, music, fashion, food, and more in partnership with tastemakers, athletes, creators, and fans. And this is a quote from Adam Silver. It continues, NBA 2K has engaged a new generation of basketball fans in an increasingly digital world. By expanding our partnership and creating NBA Take-Two Media, we look forward to building on the incredible success of the NBA 2K franchise. So I want to get your thoughts on that. I don't think this is going to be that much different than what we already have. Some of this even feels like it doesn't have anything to do with basketball. It's just across gaming, and it's travel and music and fashion and food and all of this stuff. Tastemakers, creators, blah, blah, blah. I'm not sure what NBA Take-Two Media exactly entails. But yeah, what are your thoughts on all this?
Well, first of all, the use of the word exclusivity probably not the best one to use. I mean, as we've said before, they basically have a monopoly on the space by virtue of being the only game in the space. We'll see if that changes when EA does come back with a basketball game. We'll see if they also go after the NBA license and expand into that arena once again. But yeah, I don't think that's going to change anything as far as NBA 2K itself. I don't think it's going to mean anything good. I said this when they launched the NBA 2K League, Derek, back in 2017, 2018 with NBA 2K18, that it doesn't have any benefit for the home user, for us. It doesn't improve the game. In fact, I think it's actually made the online scene a lot worse, the 2K League. People trying to turn 2K Pro-Am and want 2K Pro-Am to become the home version of the 2K League, and all the toxicity, all the metagaming, all the sweatiness that has resulted in, it's not been good. So it's just an extension of their partnership from a pop culture standpoint, I think. Probably really great for the company, great for the brand, but I don't think it's going to mean anything for the game itself, and I don't think we're really going to benefit from it. Maybe there's some cool events or whatever, but yeah, to be honest, it doesn't really excite me. It certainly doesn't surprise me that they extended their partnership. For all my criticisms of NBA 2K, it is still a good game in many ways. It's certainly a popular game. It's certainly successful. So yeah, they weren't going to break their partnership.
Yeah, I expected this extension. I expected it to be a long extension, and I expected a partnership to grow even more. And I don't think the NBA Take-Two media is going to really do anything for the fans. I don't think it's going to do anything for the gamers. I think that, we saw what happened with like the NBA 2K League. That was supposed to be for the fans, right? That was supposed to be something for them to sink their teeth into and watch and get excited about. And they did all these events around it, all the advertising, and it didn't hit, right? It didn't hit at all. That's why it folded and whatnot. And, everybody just wants to shut off 2K TV. You know that, right? Like, is there an option for us to shut this off? We don't want to see NBA 2K TV when we put on the new NBA 2K game, all of that. People just want to get in and play basketball. They don't want to see all the conversations on the couch, right? They don't want to see, NBA, when the 2K League was up, 2K League players talking about their experiences with the league and with the game and all of that. So my opinion is just like 2K TV, it really doesn't do much for gamers. So we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it will expand and maybe people will like the content they're producing and maybe it will get people more engaged. But my opinion on it is, it's just not going to be really for the gamers.
Yeah, I mean, I guess some people do like 2K TV. There seems to be an audience for it, although, like you say, there isn't the option to shut it off permanently, so it's kind of always there. I guess it's always going to get some kind of views by default. It's great for the brand, I suppose, much like this new agreement will be, expanding into those other avenues, but it doesn't benefit us. It doesn't benefit the gamers. Maybe there'll be some promotions. Obviously, there's going to be advertising. You see the Summer League sponsored by NBA 2K, much the same way that EA used to back in the day, and of course the Europe Live Tour as well, that EA Sports used to sponsor. But as far as improving the game, I don't think so. And because it's becoming this media juggernaut, anything but making a simulation basketball game. None of this is about improving the game. None of it is about addressing the greed of the game. None of it is about addressing the issues with NBA 2K. So, yeah, it's very hard for me to get excited about.
I will say this. It's nice to see that there hasn't been any official announcement related to an exclusive license with the NBA with Take-Two.
Agreed.
So, Cedric Veazey, like I said, don't worry about it. There's been no official announcement. It seems like that door is still wide open for whatever company wants to get in there, et cetera, whatever company the NBA wants to work with. So, yeah, that's a good thing. But let's talk about this new college basketball game, which everybody's pumped about. College football 25, success. College football 26, a little bit more critical reception, but overall, a success. People are still loving it and everything. Boom, EA announces that they're going to come out with a college basketball game in 2028 or 2029, and it's going to be a standalone college basketball game, and everybody's excited about it. But new information came out after that announcement, and I find this pretty insulting. I think you do too, and I think it also comes off as pretty damn anti-consumer, which is nothing new for Take-Two when it comes to their basketball video games, especially in the most recent years. And once again, it looks like the person that broke this news was Mike Straw. So let me read this to you. says, we can confirm those suspicions. 2K was one of the 3 companies to make a formal bid, and now we can share more specific information about their proposal. On July 11th, the CLC sent another note to conferences. Because of a non-disclosure agreement, CLC wrote, it hadn't been able to share the details of 2K's proposal. And when we say we're talking about the 2K's proposal, we're talking about their proposal to the CLC for college basketball content. In the wake of the CLC recommendation of EA's proposal, 2K contacted schools directly with its own proposal, asking them to delay approval of the EA game. In effect, that broke the NDA, and the CLC is now sharing the 2K plan widely. So 2K was worried. That's the way you have to look at it. Was worried about EA's proposal.
Yep.
Was worried about the recommendation of EA's proposal. And they were like, damn, we got to get in there. We got to intercept. So they broke an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement, and contacted schools directly and shared their own proposal, trying to get them to not make the EA plan official, that agreement with EA official. How scummy, right? So anyway, here was the proposal from 2K Sports, and this is super insulting. And basically what this is they were trying to tie this college basketball content into their My Team mode and make people pay for it, a separate purchase. Just listen to this. 2K Sports proposed a non-exclusive model for a limited number of D1 basketball teams that would be a 5v5 tournament gameplay format, integrated into its NBA 2K game My Team mode via downloadable content, DLC, a separate purchase in addition to the purchase of the NBA game. Think about that. Can you imagine those schools laughing at that? Like, the EA Sports proposal was that they were going to include like all the D1 teams, and they're saying we're going to make this a DLC for our My Team mode. Now think that it gets worse. 2K would assess the viability of a standalone college basketball game that would be contingent on some measurable milestones for 2K28, including DLC sales that had to meet or exceed $3 million and have a 50% propensity to buy a full game from consumer surveys. Any commitment for a standalone college game would come at 2K's discretion after the assessment. The original CLC memo laid out the terms of EA Sports' proposal, stating that EA was the only company that had submitted a bid for a standalone arcade simulation featuring every men's and women's basketball team in Division I. This new memo is consistent with that assessment. 2K's proposal was for a non-exclusive model for a limited number of D1 basketball teams that would be a 5v5 tournament gameplay format integrated into its NBA 2K game. 2K promised to assess the viability of a standalone game as early as 2030, assuming the initial release met certain milestones. Now listen to this. It also proposed a limited number of teams, 16 total from the men's and women's game in year 1, 32 in year 2, and 68 in year 3. So think about this. They tried to intercept EA's proposal, and they probably thought their name could carry them, right? Oh, like we're behind NBA 2K, where this is going to carry us. But they proposed My Team content for college basketball, not a standalone game, not a standalone mode, like college basketball content tied to their My Team mode that would have to be a separate purchase, so DLC, so anti-consumer, right? And not only that, they were only going to include 16 teams in year 1 and 32 in year 2. They were telling the CLC, basically, if we decide we've made enough money off of the limited number of teams that we've allowed and the limited number of content, then we'll decide if we want to make a standalone college basketball game. Yeah, right. Like, no wonder the CLC went with EA's proposal. It is 10 times better. And after hearing this, it makes me hope and wish, actually, that EA got an exclusive license just to kind of piss 2K off, take 2 off, because that is so insulting.
Oh, for sure. And I don't want to belabor a tired point about big corporations. Big corporations are going to do what they're going to do. Rivals in business are going to try for an advantage. EA obviously sought an exclusive agreement as well. But 2K just made this terrible pitch for a terrible game. Not even a game to begin with, as you said, DLC for NBA 2K, with the possibility of making an actual game if the profits were there. So obviously the CLC understandably recommends EA's proposal instead, which makes sense. It's a much better proposal. And then, like a bratty kid who doesn't get their way, 2K approaches the schools, tries to preemptively get them to spurn EA. There's the broken NDA. CLC says, yeah, we're going to reveal this. If you're going to go behind our backs and break the NDA, we're going to reveal your pitch. And now 2K supposedly wants to make a proper college game and possibly get it out first. Absolutely zero goodwill in that, just like there was zero goodwill in the My Team pitch, the DLC pitch. All spite, all profit-driven, no artistic merit whatsoever. And look, this generation of 2Ks, in my opinion, has been mostly disappointing on the virtual hardwood. I've enjoyed some of the games more than others. I know you've enjoyed some of them more than me, but I think the generation has been mostly disappointing. It's easily the greediest generation of 2Ks as far as the design of modes with the recurrent revenue mechanics and so forth. With that in mind, I can't really look forward to any new college game from 2K. Look what they were trying to do with the collegiate license. I have my concerns about an EA game. Their track record with NBA Live on 8th Gen wasn't good. But you know what? They made a couple of awesome NBA Jam games, Derek. In my view, the best NBA Jam game in On Fire Edition. So I think that given the time and the resources, the right creative direction, they can make good games. And more to the point, it's something different, an alternative. It's going to be an alternative to NBA 2K. And it's because they want to get back into basketball games, not just to spite another company. Again, going for that exclusive license, so I understand why. But yeah, Take-Two, utterly petulant here, acting like a bratty kid. I'd hate for their ploy to succeed at EA's expense. So, honestly, Derek, I'm not really excited for anything collegiate coming out of 2K.
And you hear my critiques, right? You hear my disgust. This is coming from somebody who actually likes NBA 2K25 gameplay in many ways, right? Somebody who's put over 400 hours, actually up to 500 hours now, into that game. This is somebody who routinely shares footage from past NBA 2Ks, as do you. You know, NBA 2K19, 2K17, 16, 15 recently, actually, 14 constantly, 13. We have a season going right now on NBA 2K9. This isn't a, hate Take-Two thing.
Absolutely
right?
not, no.
This is a black and white, honest reaction, right? It doesn't matter what company would try to pull this. It's BS and it's insulting and it's not consumer friendly in any way. And it's ridiculous, actually. So I wanted to point that out. This is coming from somebody who is actually pretty excited for NBA 2K26 because I liked some of the improvements that were in NBA 2K25. But to try to intercept in that way, I could see if it was a super offer, right? And they were like, you know what? We want to make a standalone college basketball game. We want to include all Division I teams. Like if it was a comparable offer, right, to EA Sports. And even if in that offer they pitched an exclusive license with it, like saying like, we will only do this if it's exclusive. But at least the offer was good, right? And at least the offer was consumer friendly. And at least it was for a standalone game. But to pitch that, and to be only 16 teams in year one and 32 in year two, and to have it tied into My Team and have it be a separate purchase. And, you know, aren't they lining their pockets enough with people buying VC for My Career with the intentional grind, with people, you know, opening packs with terrible odds and, you know, them separating season passes and making people pay for them, all of that. Like I could go on and on. And, you know, Mick at DBGYT_, who was a former 2K content creator, gets a lot of views on his takes. He stated, you know, there are people going into debt or committing fraud due to trying to keep up with this current version of My Team. 3 years ago, it cost about $200 a week to have the best squad for the entire year. Now it's $5K or to $10K a week. If I'm the problem for calling it out, then so be it. And obviously he's getting a lot of support for, you know, speaking out against this stuff. He also stated, so 2K have said that the only way that a college game is coming is if people buy packs in My Team that include college teams. And he states this isn't a video game company anymore. And you've said that many times, Andrew. You've stated that it doesn't feel like a video game company anymore. Like, it doesn't even feel like an NBA game half the time.
Yeah, this 2K Media, this 2K Media initiative.
It's a money suck.
Like that, yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's like a money suck. So, there's a lot of people that were really upset. I'm not going to go through all the comments, but if you want to look up those tweets, not by just him, but from, Mike Straw, who, again, wrote that article for Extra Points, any tweets related to this, you're going to see an angry mob of reactions from people just stating what an insulting offer. This isn't a video game company anymore. I can't believe they can get away with this type of behavior. You'll just see all of those comments. So, super insulting stuff, Andrew.
It really is. Just the sheer arrogance of it and the shadiness of it to go behind CLC's back and try to interfere with the deal and reaching out and trying to encourage, strong arm, I think, the schools into agreeing to their proposal and rejecting EA's. Again, big corporations going to do what they're going to do. These things happen in business. These things happen in competition. I'm not saying EA is innocent. EA has a long history of doing some shady things themselves. But as far as this college basketball game is concerned, they put in their pitch. It was recommended. They're looking to come back strong, as they've done with college football. So, yeah, they're doing the right thing here. And 2K is being petulant. Oh, somebody else is trying to make a basketball game. How dare they? We're the definitive home, the exclusive home of basketball gaming. No, you're not. And you shouldn't be. Because for all the good things that NBA 2K has done, they've done a lot of bad things as well. Not just the predatory microtransactions, of course, Derek, but also erring with the games. Not necessarily making the best on-court product. We want competition. We want alternatives. Even if 2K remains the main name in gaming, if they have the best game, you still have a viable alternative. That's important. That's what we loved about basketball gaming back in the day, as we've said so many times. And they're trying to stop this from happening. They are trying to get that monopoly without having the exclusive agreement. So yeah, don't support that at all. Pretty disgusting. And like you say, a very insulting pitch for not even a game, for DLC.
So the drama continues. So you noticed that their proposal stated that they would reevaluate and try to push for a standalone college basketball game as long as they made enough money in 2030. Remember, that's what the proposal stated. However, once it was announced that EA's offer was accepted by the CLC, all of a sudden, July 18th, once again, broken by Mike Straw Media, report, 2K Sports plans standalone college basketball game. So let's see how fast that changed. All of a sudden, they planned a standalone college basketball game because their lowball, crappy offer didn't get accepted. Mike Straw continues, he states, those I've spoken with on the matter say 2K believes it could turn around a game quicker than EA due to its already built engine. It would allow for a game to be released by, at the earliest, 2027, depending on scope. So we went from 2030 to 2027. And why would it be 2027? Because EA announced 2028, right? So this is the intercepting of that crowd. This is them getting out there first all of a sudden. No, not 2030 now, 2027. And I find that amusing. I find the drama around this amusing, but also at the same time concerning for the reasons that I mentioned. Part of my community question is related to how do you feel about 2K? Beating EA to the punch and creating the college basketball game first, and how do you feel about them using the NBA 2K existing engine as the base? So I'm going to throw this over to you, and I already know your thoughts on this, but I'm going to have you say it on the air. How do you feel about the current NBA 2K engine, the one that was used in NBA 2K25, being the base for a new college basketball game?
Yeah, I'm not exactly that optimistic about it. I'm not really excited about a reskinned NBA 2K. And yeah, it is funny how suddenly the game that had to wait till 2030 can be made in 2027, potentially. And obviously they do have the bones there in place. They have the framework that EA presumably doesn't at this point. But yeah, getting it out there first, beating them to the punch. This is not being done to make a great game. This is to put a product out there to make money. And obviously, EA wants to make money. They are products at the end of the day. Video games have always been products, just like any other toy, just like any other entertainment product. But yeah, when the motivation is to simply beat EA to the punch, to muscle them out of the space again, to maximize their profits, it's not about a quality experience for the consumer, for us. And yeah, I know a lot of people do like NBA 2K25. I did like it more than previous games. As you said, you're enjoying the game. Have played almost 500 hours of that now. But yeah, I still don't really feel this current engine. So yeah, I'm not that confident that it's going to make for a great college basketball game. And I don't think they're doing it for the right reasons besides. So I don't trust that the quality is going to be there.
Yeah, I'll give my answer now. I definitely agree with you 100%. And I'll go over the reasons why. But first, I want to read this next comment by Mike Straw. He states, it has to be stressed, though, that it doesn't mean should they get licensing, a game would come by 2027. It's more along the lines of, we can if we wanted it that way. Right. And I like that comment because that's really what it is. It's being like, oh, yeah, but it's like it's flexing.
Arrogant.
It's like, we can do this. We can come out with a game before you. All of that. Yeah, as far as using the existing 2K engine, while there are things I like about it, I liked older engines better. I would not be excited for a new college basketball game from 2K if it was using like a reskin of this current engine. I think that there's too many issues with it. And I think that the game would get dull and boring really fast using this engine. I'm ready for something new. I'm ready for a new basketball gaming experience, whether it be, for NBA or college. And yeah, that would not excite me. I do hope that EA comes out with a college basketball video game first, because I want not just me and you, Andrew, but, basketball gamers worldwide to have that new experience, to be able to sink their teeth into something new, something unique in the basketball gaming space, as opposed to, just another 2K game.
Definitely. And how about a Big 3 game? Put Dwight Howard on the cover.
Yeah, Dwight Howard actually tweeted that out today. He stated, can we make a Big 3 video game with the thinking emoji? So yeah, I mean, that would be cool. I would actually play that game. I think that would be a unique experience, and you could make it like all about fun, like loose, clean fun, kind of like the old NBA streets, the street hoops games, etc. So yeah, I'd be interested in that as well.
Before we go on, a reminder that the NLSC podcast comes out every week on the NLSC, MA-live.com, as well as our YouTube channel. We're also on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and other podcast apps. If you're listening on any of those apps, we'd greatly appreciate a review. To keep up with the show and everything we're doing with basketball gaming in general, connect with us on social media. On Twitter and Facebook, we are the NLSC. We also have an Instagram, NLSC Basketball, and on YouTube, we're youtube.com/NBA Live Series Center. Once again, visit us at NBA-live.com, where in addition to the podcast, you'll also find all of our original content, as well as our forum and modding community.
So let's get to the mailbag. I asked the community, what are your thoughts on Take-Two creating a new college basketball game using the existing engine from NBA 2K? And would you rather Take-Two come out with the game before EA Sports? T Gentry at Bucky T states, I am absolutely against Take-Two creating a college basketball game with its existing engine right now. The gameplay will feel so stale and similar to 2K21 through 25, and I don't like that feeling. He goes on to state, I would much rather EA to come out with the college hoops game before Take-Two, and I definitely agree there.
Yes, like we said before, there's a lot of 2K fatigue. Not everybody's loving this current generation of NBA 2K games and the technology that they're working with. And people just want something fresh. They want something new. They want an alternative. And even if 2K's game would be pretty solid, which I imagine it still would be, even with all the greed, even with all the spiteful reasons behind making the college game, from the sounds of things, it would still be solid, but people want something new, and I'm right there with them.
NBA 2K Fadeaway at NBA 2K Fadeaway states there will be more and more skating and sliding guys around, and this is someone coming from somebody who loves NBA 2K16. He plays that often, he mods it often, he shows highlights of it constantly. He's been in the top 10 many times playing NBA 2K16, and what do we know about 2K16? Excellent foot planning, some of the best in the series history. And foot planning has been a major issue since 2K18, with the change of the motion system, and then the revamp of the motion system with 2K20, and then it's been a major issue again on PS5 gen.
Yeah, 2K16 and 2K17, a couple of our favorites. I've recently been playing 2K17 dusted it off because I needed to do some research for a future article, and of course it's such a great game that I had to spend some time with it. And I was actually looking at the PS4 version. I needed to see the original rosters for this particular article that I've written, and ended up playing with the college DLC, the all-time college teams DLC. Posted some highlights on our socials, sent some highlights to you as well, Derek, and that plays really well. That's really fun to use those teams. They're a little bit disappointing in some ways, of course, and I will actually go into that in a revisiting of the all-time college DLC. But yeah, 2K16, 2K17. Now, if they were making a college game based on that I would love.
Oh yeah, I would dive right into that. Yeah, because I love that motion system. I just think it plays very well.
Awesome, yeah.
Stephen at the Live King states, definitely not a fan, and by the looks of it, they just want to rush a game into market without effort. And that's what you kind of alluded to. It's like just getting a game out there just to get it out first, right? He continues, EA sounds like they really want to knock presentation out the door for this, so I'm happy they want to take their time. Yeah, I mean, their proposal tells me that they're serious, right? That they're trying to make a great game, that they want to include all the teams, so they want to, come out with a bang, and that first release just be absolutely amazing. So yeah, I'm definitely in agreement with the Live King.
Yeah, and look, EA does have a reputation as far as the quality of the games, certainly their business practices, but their pitch was to make this detailed, deep game with all the teams, men and women. So yeah, they were seeking that exclusive license, but they wanted to do something special with it, and that's the main thing. It wasn't just to spite the competition.
That's so Rel at _Relhouse states, 2K using their existing engine, not a fan, but if they make a college basketball game, that's cool, but definitely wouldn't be my choice of a college basketball game. But I welcome the competition. He stated he would rather wait for EA. Miguel Velasco 41 at Miguel Velasco 41 states, if they use the same engine, then it will be like a reskin only. Can't expect much as well, since 2K is prioritizing the my player / microtransactions in the last few entries. And that showed that they forgot the basketball aspect and are busy with unnecessary stuff. And in parentheses, he states dances, emotes, etc. Yeah, and the RPG stuff, right?
Yeah.
It's basically whatever they possibly can to make money. And I think that it's turned into less of a basketball game and more into like a casino and an RPG. And, for a lot of people, especially and mainly for those people who do play online, and that's those are the modes they push the most. So I definitely agree with him there.
Me too, absolutely. And I don't want to be elitist, gatekeeping about it, because I think these games should be for anyone who wants to get into the virtual hardwood. But by trying to appeal to everyone, I've said this before, Derek, in articles and on the podcast, by trying to appeal to everyone, to cast that wide net, to be everything to everyone, to compete with other genres that aren't sim basketball games, because now, of course, they are the only name in the sim basketball gaming space, they have diluted the game. They have moved away from what made those games so awesome. And you see people say, I prefer 2K when it was more arcadey, which, since the original 2Ks, the first few 2Ks, you might say that they lean a bit arcade. Actually, we've talked about that before when we went back and played NBA Live 2000 and NBA 2K. But 2K's success came from making the most authentic sim game. That's how they overtook NBA Live. And of course, the quality of gameplay, the feel on the sticks, etc. But they were definitely going in that sim direction. I would say now the current games are more arcadey, if anything. And I still wouldn't call them arcadey. As I've said before, I think that is a very specific style. But they are certainly going for that skill-based, you got to control everything, everything's got to be about stick skills in the competitive scene. To me, that's the problem that they're going towards, trying to make it a fighting game. As you've put it, Derek, before, trying to make it a fighting game, going for the meta, all that stuff. That is the problem, not so much arcade versus sim, because it's still very sim at its core. But yeah, back in the day, you had that quality product, that great simulation of basketball. That's what it was focused on, not all this other stuff, not the MMORPG stuff and the city and all that nonsense. So I don't want to gatekeep, but trying to cast that wide net, compete with other genres, has not done the game any favors whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, a couple things. One, people don't want Fortnite with basketball, number one. Number two, look at NBA 2K9. We're 9 games into a franchise right now using the Bulls. You made a comment to me about, the elite NBA presentation and how the game feels sim most of the time. That game, NBA 2K9, was just all about the NBA, right? It was all about basketball. It was all about that on-court action. My player didn't even exist at that time. But the point is that people would rather have that than dancing and emotes and, you know, all of these predatory mechanics and just being pressured into, you know, getting VC constantly and, you know, constantly being told you're not good enough, right? Got to put more money into the game, all of that stuff. So, yeah, I definitely agree there.
Yeah, we're going to talk about our NBA 2K9 season in an upcoming show, so I don't want to derail this episode too much, but it has been a lot of fun to play 2K9. I've really realized how much I enjoy that game. It's really shooting up my rankings of that generation of 2K and 2K overall, as I've said before. But we had a moment in one of our recent games against the Hawks where Al Horford fouled Joakim Noah really hard and then kind of rushed over and helped him up, and they're kind of like doing the tap. Yeah, no malice, I understand. And of course, they are former college teammates. And of course, that's not a program sequence between those two players, a specific sequence, I should say, that just happens on hard fouls. But of course, it was realistic that these two former college teammates and friends, when they went hard in the paint like that, apologized and said, oh, yep, nothing to that, that's just us playing hard. Back then, 2K would have those moments that were ultra-realistic, accidentally, coincidentally.
Yeah, and it felt great, too, because you were enjoying the game, right?
Yep,
and
absolutely.
The atmosphere was excellent, and, you know, you saw the love put in to the NBA side of things and the basketball side of things. Ja J World 3 states, I personally like 2K's current engine, but I also understand playing on a different one or one from a different company. But I also don't want to learn two different controls, so it's weird for me. And yeah, you know, a lot of people are used to those 2K controls, right? And actually, people were so used to them that I think that EA capitalized on that a bit. We talked about it before, you know, with NBA Live 18 and NBA Live 19. Definitely. All of a sudden, it's double tap Y, just like 2K to throw alley-oops. It's double tap, you know, B for fancy passes. And all of a sudden, the controls are very similar in the NBA Live series as they were in the 2K series. So I guess one thing I will say is expect the controls to be similar if EA comes out with a college basketball game or, you know, a new NBA Live, et cetera, because they were already doing that with NBA Live 18 and NBA Live 19.
Yeah, when the brand leader establishes a good standard, then there is a tendency to follow the leader, and I think that is a good thing.
Well, just like when 2K took right stick dribbling, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
You know, that was really popular with the EA franchise. 2K tried to avoid it for the longest time, and then in 2K13 they folded and they were like, here's right stick dribbling, right? Yeah. But yeah, you know, a good idea is a good idea, just like button mapping. Good button mapping is good button mapping.
Yeah, once you have that good standard, it does make sense to copy that, to follow the leader. I've said this in many retrospectives of games from the mid to late 90s, Derek, but you see games that try to do things differently to NBA Live unnecessarily. Free throw shooting is a common example. Games not using the team meter. Developers trying all kinds of weird things with free throw shooting. And it's like, follow the leader. This is a really good system. I mean, I believe the team meter name was a trademark of EA, but the general concept was not, because there were other games that used the team meter or something very similar meter to that. So anyone who tried to eschew that and, let's be creative, let's have a really funky way of shooting free throws, and it was just terrible. So yeah, there's value in following the brand leader. And of course, EA took some ideas from other games at the time as well. If somebody comes out with a good idea, putting your own spin on it, a spin that's just as good or better, that's the way to go.
Moving over to Discord, Vetman states, if 2K tries to steal EA's thunder with their own earlier College Hoops release, I don't think it will work, because given how little effort 2K puts into their flagship basketball game, NBA 2K, I can't imagine a game made purely for business, strategic, quasi-spite purposes would be as good as whatever EA would make, which sounds more motivated by greater belief in the actual product. He continues, regarding gameplay, of course, if EA re-enters the basketball space, there will be disagreement among virtual hoops fans about which company provides the best gameplay. So it's not crazy to think that those who love 2K's current gameplay may prefer it to EA's eventual product. But I would still expect EA to crush 2K in terms of delivering a coherent, complete feeling college hoops game. And lastly, he states, I also don't expect that 2K attempting to steal EA's thunder would dent EA sales at all. I personally do, and I think you do as well. You can tell people are tired of only having one option for virtual hoops. I would expect that no matter what 2K does, almost everyone who plays 2K regularly will buy EA's product, even if out of pure curiosity, if nothing else. And I that's where I disagree. If 2K knows what they're doing, they know that if they come out with a college basketball game first, and then they continue on and whatnot, that they'll have some of that market share. That's a no-brainer, right? Like, what's going to end up happening is, even if EA's game is wildly popular, 2K's college basketball game will put a big dent in EA's college basketball sales overall. So it's possible that EA could still be more popular, with the college basketball game. It's possible that they could make more sales, etc. But if there's two standalone college basketball games, there's going to be a hit either way in those total sales.
Oh, yeah, and they know what they're doing, for sure. But with that being said, I do agree that the interest, the curiosity is there in EA's game, so I think people are going to check it out. Certainly if there's a demo, which would be a wise move, I think, to actually release a demo for the college basketball game, and certainly NBA Live, if and when it returns, you need to do that. You need to build that trust. You need to show that it's been worth it. Whatever they're working on has been successful. So I do think the curiosity is going to be there. The interest is going to be there. But yeah, 2K's efforts would definitely cut into sales. It's definitely going to try and divide the audience.
Right. I also agree with him where he stated that, EA is going to go all in with this, and that it would probably be a more complete product, right? I think that it would be more made for the fans. It would be made for the gamers. It would be a full-out college basketball experience, what people are looking for overall. Where 2K, you're not exactly sure what type of quality you're going to get with this game, and you're not going to know what's going to be tied behind a paywall. You're not going to know, if it's the current 2K engine, you already are going to know some of the gripes that you're going to have with the gameplay, etc. So, yeah, I agree with him there.
And of course, he mentions a lot of what we said about it mostly being driven by money, by simply shutting down the competition rather than doing it out of interest for developing this great college basketball game. I absolutely think that is the case. And I should say that when I talk about a reskinned NBA 2K, you go back to the college games that 2K made back in the day, the Visual Concepts developed, and they weren't just a reskinned NBA 2K. They were great collegiate basketball games that did stand out in some way from the NBA product. And EA did the same with the March Madness series and later NCAA basketball series. But doing it now and rushing it out there to beat EA and dominate the space, I don't think it would be the same today.
But in a way, they were still reskinned to the point of, like, you could tell.
Oh, they
it was the same gameplay engine.
True.
Yeah, like you could feel it on the sticks. You could see it in the graphics. You could see it in the lighting in most of the games. It was the same, etc. So, like, the reskin thing has always been there, and that's smart business in a way, right? Because you already have those assets, and you already have that engine. And if your games were popular, then you can capitalize on that, right? So, like, I understand that, but my worry is that, the gameplay with 2K has gotten stale, right? You see it in the comments. We've talked about it on past shows. You see it with the reception, etc. I really don't want another college basketball game with this stale gameplay, right? So I think that's what people are worried about. The people in the comments is when they say reskin, they're like, well, we have fatigue over this gameplay. It hasn't gotten better to us. It's stale, etc. And we don't want that for a college basketball game.
Yeah, it's not going to be different enough. Even though there was shared tech back in the day, you still had those college wrinkles. You still had something about the college gameplay, something mechanically different and strategically different that they played more like the college style of basketball. There was a bit more than a reskin. But of course, yes, they did share technology. And that is important, but if it is just, a little more than a modded NBA 2K, if you will, and that's not to downplay the great collegiate mods we've had over the years, but there's only so much they could do as far as replicating the college game. When you're developing a game, you want it to be different. You want it to stand out. And just to reskin NBA 2K and to reuse some of the stale tech, yeah, not excited.
Pep states, biggest question about EA game is how they translate it from Ignite to Frostbite. Because we all know that Frostbite isn't a great engine for sports games, but EA force it into every one of them. I don't know enough about it. I know that I definitely had issues with NBA Live 19's gameplay. I've gone over it many times between the animation delays, especially with passing, the constant canned animations. While the game did look smooth, I don't think that overall it played smooth. I think that it was more about animation quality as opposed to the feel on the sticks, as opposed to the reactiveness and all of that stuff. I would hope that a new college basketball game didn't have the same issues from EA that they had with NBA Live 19. And, some of those issues for me were also in NBA Live 18, actually most of them.
Well, NBA Live was running on the Ignite engine. It didn't make the jump to Frostbite. People were wanting it to make the jump to Frostbite. That was a common wish list item, and people saying, if we get it to Frostbite, it's actually going to be a lot better. And apparently there are some issues going to that engine with these sports games, and obviously people do feel that there are issues with the Frostbite engine as well. But it's not like Ignite didn't have its issues as well. So I think we can talk about different engines, but it comes down to how competent are you at designing a game? What is your vision? How do you want to put that game together? What is the creative direction? So you can give it Unreal Engine, Frostbite, Ignite, whatever, but if you're not making the best of the technology at your disposal, it doesn't really matter.
Right, exactly. Less about the system, more about the human beings controlling it, right? Babaluga states, honestly, if they are going to use the same engine, I'm cool with it. That was the norm in the past. But my issue is the timeline. I can download entire NCAA rosters with jerseys and courts made by one guy. They should have a game out for this coming season. No excuses, in my opinion. But personally, I'm more pumped for NBA Live to return. So he's looking forward to NBA Live coming out. Sounds like he's more open to NBA 2K creating a standalone college basketball game. But as he stated, and you've seen these in the highlights from Teddy Bear the Gamer and others, a lot of people are downloading those NCAA rosters that were made using the court creator, the jersey creator, all of that stuff that are on 2K Share. And, people are using those right now. So his argument is why would we have to wait so long? Especially if it was 2K for a college basketball game, when your average user is creating all of this content for the game and uploading shared rosters, and people are using them and having a blast. So I see his argument, but I think that it's a little bit more involved than that.
Yeah, and of course he does say that he's looking forward to the possible return of NBA Live a lot more, which I do agree. We said this before, that as excited as we are for a new EA Sports college basketball game, how we're going to look out for the news and we're going to look forward to the game and hope that it's great, we would ultimately prefer an NBA game, an NBA alternative to NBA 2K. And it goes back to what we've said before, Derek, that as much as EA has messed up in the past, and as much as people say that, the door is shut, nobody wants to see NBA Live come back, nobody wants to see EA Sports come back, there is interest in an EA Sports college basketball game. There is interest in NBA Live's return. People want alternatives.
Absolutely. So I believe we received responses on Facebook.
Yeah, we had a couple of people weigh in on Facebook as well. Muggsy says 100, the 100 emoji, so excited about the game, excited about the possibility of using the current NBA 2K engine. Mark says excited, so also thumbs up there. And Carlos says, would definitely prefer them to start from the ground up, but will not be that mad at them using the same engine if it gets us the game sooner. I actually enjoy the NBA gameplay of the current 2K, minus a few dumb things that I mostly blame on them having to balance simulation with arcade for the not-so-hardcore and their complaints. Also, if we're holding to the same standard, I believe EA College Football was built on the same engine as Madden. My excitement level is off the meter either way. Competition, competition, competition. Take care, fellas. As always, thank you for the kind remarks, Carlos. Yeah, I mean, I get the excitement for a 2K-produced college basketball game, and there is advantages to the engine, of course. Once again, though, saying that competition is important in the space. EA Sports College Football, again, using assets originally developed for Madden. You're not going to build from scratch when you have some kind of viable framework at your disposal. We've seen what happened with NBA Live, trying to rebuild from scratch over and over again. Didn't do them any favors whatsoever. So there's definitely merit in using that existing engine, those existing assets from NBA 2K. And yeah, while I certainly am particular about the use of arcade and sim as far as styles of basketball gameplay, yeah, trying to appeal to different crowds, trying to cast that wide net, trying to be more than just a basketball game, that is really been the problem with 2K this past generation, and going back to the last generation as well.
Yeah, well, from a gameplay standpoint, catering to an online scene, a quote competitive online scheme, you take that how you may, but it's just really hurt the NBA gameplay, in my opinion. And I think that what happens is, and just the gameplay in general, honestly, but I think it's introduced gameplay that overall is not as inspiring. I think it's introduced more canned sequences, more canned gameplay. And I think that overall it's taken away from the authenticity that was in so many past games. And I just think that the move to the new motion system, we talked about it. You went from NBA Live 2000, which I believe was a very strong basketball game, and then you went to a new motion system with NBA Live 2001. Sorry, Live 01 legends Roger and Nate. But that wasn't a great move, right? There were a lot of issues with that new motion system. In fact, so many issues with that NBA Live 2001 and Live 2002 motion system that they basically scrapped it completely for a new one in NBA Live 2003 just 2 years later, right? But just like that move wasn't great for EA in the NBA Live series, the move to a new motion system in 2K18 and then the revamp in 2K20 that introduced all of this crazy sliding, the janky movement, the super suction, all of that stuff, the rushed shooting feel, all of that. Like, I think that was a killer for the series. And while like I stated, we've had enjoyment in NBA 2K25, and I think that they've made some positive improvements, a lot of those issues are still there. And I think that people are just kind of overall sick of the way the gameplay feels in the NBA 2K series. So yeah, with a new college basketball game, as far as like if they were to use this existing engine, and we shared our thoughts earlier on this and the community mostly agrees with us. Yeah, that doesn't sound too exciting to me.
Yeah, and look, there are reasons that developers go to new engines. The reason that they made the switch in Live 2001 was they went to a new programming language that was becoming the industry standard at that point, so it was kind of a necessary evil, but unfortunately it did result in that step back. Absolutely, and we talked about that a lot in the forum at the time, in the original Black and Blue forums, the Discus forums. So yeah, even though it was necessary, it certainly didn't help the series, and it did set them back. And it does get to a point where engines are tapped out, and you can't keep adding forever to what you've already made, and you do have to redesign and start over to some point, or bring in a new engine, new technologies, new assets, etc. But yeah, it certainly doesn't always go well, and we've seen many examples of that. As we said, 2K16, 2K17, the peak fill in the sticks, in our opinion, in the NBA 2K series. I did like 2K19 as well. 2K20 I did have fun with, but 2K16, 2K17 still feels like the pinnacle to me. But yeah, we will have to wait and see what happens. In the meantime, of course, NBA 2K26 is coming out. The preview season is kicking into high gear beginning next week. We will cover those developments and, of course, talk about what we're playing, including our NBA 2K9 season. But yeah, thank you to the community for all those responses. As always, Derek, we appreciate everybody weighing in with their thoughts.
Yeah, awesome stuff. Thank you for all the responses each and every week. And, we just hope that if EA comes out with a college basketball game, that it's awesome. And you know what? If NBA 2K gets ahead of them and creates a college basketball game, and they do it first, we hope that people get enjoyment out of it and that 2K knocks it out of the park. So we just want great basketball games for everybody.
More College Hoops 2K8s, less Gravity Ball, Derek.
Yeah, that DLC, quote, option, end quote, that went away fast.
But with that being said, that has brought us to the end of this week's show. As always, thank you for tuning in. And please join us again next week, and every week, on the NLSC, nb-live.com, our YouTube channel, or wherever you listen to podcasts. In the meantime, make sure you're following us on social media. That's where you can get in touch with us. And of course, stay up to date with all of our content. So Derek, go ahead and plug the handles.
Yeah, you can reach me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at D43G and at D4384. I'm also on the NLSC, D43, and on YouTube, D43.
As for me, I'm Andrew in the forum, and Andrew NLSC on X and Blue Sky. The NLSC is on X, Facebook, and Blue Sky at the NLSC. We're also NLSC Basketball on Instagram and Threads. We're on YouTube at NBA Live Series Center. And of course, keep a look to the NLSC itself, nb-live.com, for everything we do for basketball video games. So, thank you once again for tuning in, and until next time, I'm Andrew.
And I'm Derek.
Go get buckets, everyone.